Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Jey.
And I'm Meka.
And this is our channel. Today we're going to be doing our Season 6, Episode 3 review for Love After Lockup.
Yes.
It's on you.
So, we're going to go ahead and get started. And this show got a lot of buzz online. So we're going to start with JK and Brook. She finally gets to see him when the mom and her go into the prison and they pick him up. They do all the hugging, kissing, stuff like that. I could tell right away, that the mom kind of felt, a little bit out of place. She felt that way. I didn't feel that she was out of place, but it seemed like she didn't really know how to, interact with the three of them being there at the same time, because he's very much a mama's boy, and all she probably wanted to do was hug her son, but Brook, she's excited to see her man. She kind of took that whole thing over, and so you kind of see early on in the episode, I can't really get a feel on whether she really likes Brook or not.
I think she's cool.
Or she's annoyed with her. I can't tell. I really can't tell.
No, I mean, Brook, I think she's cool with Brook. I think she's just kind of feeling it out. She knows her son. She knows the woman he's dealt with.
Yeah.
So she has an understanding of it. So I don't think she's opposed to Brook, but I think she just wants to see. I don't really think she's overly focused on Brook besides the one aspect that you're into. And I think she's just like, hey, if you're going to be part of my son's life, make sure that he don't go back here. That's all.
Right. That makes sense. And to go into what he was saying, so Brook is hell-bent on having a baby with this man. I mean, that's all she talks about. She talks about that more than marriage, I would say. He's even wearing a t-shirt when he gets out of prison that says, husband, father, something. And she, in front of the mom, she, points to the father part. And she's like, yeah, that right there. We want that right there, right? So she's hyper-focused on having a baby with him. Anyway, they get in the car, and they head...
Let me say something really quickly about that, if it's cool. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? The part about her being hyper-focused, I do think she is hyper-focused on it, but I understand it, and this is, from this episode, they don't address it, but we did address Alex in the previous videos, the third person in this triangle. JK does not have any children. If she thinks that he gets out and he might move around, the quickest way for her to kind of make sure she has him long term is to get pregnant before he gets his chance to swerve over to Alex.
Yeah, maybe that is why she's kind of so focused on that. Because I find it odd, but they're on their way to the restaurant and he wants to get something to eat. The mom is already on him hey, you need to call your PO and make sure that you can stop and get something to eat, or do you need to be at home by a certain time? And the reason why she's so focused about that is focused on that is because he had been released from prison before. He didn't even make it 60 days out before he was back in. So mom is kind of on his bumper about everything. And Brook is not really, I feel like she's not really understanding the mom's concern. This is her son. She wants her son to stay out of prison. That is her main focus. And so, they head, he calls his PO. PO is like, yeah, get something to eat, go home immediately after you get something to eat. So they go to the restaurant, and Brooklyn and the mom and him are sitting there, they're eating and stuff, and she's steady talking about making jokes about having babies, making jokes about having sex in front of the mom. And yes, they are grown, but it was just kind of cringy to me. It was a respect thing. It was kind of you could see that the mom... And to be fair to the mom, she's processing that her son is out of jail. She's very emotional. She's happy to see him. You know what I'm saying? And he says at the table, he is a mama's boy. And she talks about the guilt that she feels that he's been in and out of prison. She says she feels like she could have did better. And he's telling her Mom, it's on me. I don't want you to ever think that me going to jail has anything to do with you. And they clip to him with the producers. And he's like, my mom was a great mom. She focused on keeping us on the straight and narrow. He was like, I just went another way, basically. And he was like, I don't ever want her to think that this is her fault. But anyway, that happens. They continue to eat. And at a certain point, the mom gets upset because Brook keeps talking about having a baby. And she's like, look, She was like, y'all don't need to have a baby right now. And he's like, well, I'm 30-something years old and, you know, I want kids. I do want kids. She was like, I understand that. She's like, but not right now. Because you don't, well, she's saying, I don't think y'all should right now. She was like, you need to prove that you could stay out of prison for the sake of these kids you're trying to have, right? Like, you have to prove that you're not going to be going in and out of prison because he's been doing that for a good part of his adult life. Which I think is a valid point. She gets upset and she walks off from the table. The mom does. And she just needs a minute because she's like, they're not getting it. They're joking around. They're kikiing. They're laughing. And KJ, like, when she comes back to the table, she's like, look, Mom, I just got out of prison. I just want to eat. I want to laugh. I want to have fun, you know. But then he kind of gets on Brook because Brook continues. And he's like, stop. Like, for real, stop. Because he don't play about his mom. And he's kind of like, my mom is really getting upset. And he tells her, like, no, for real, like, chill out on the baby talk. So that basically was their thing. Do you have something to add to that?
Nah, I mean, it wasn't too big of a deal. I mean, them having a kid, maybe she was talking about too much, but I mean, that was pretty much the whole, the center point around them too, honestly. So, you know, I mean, that was that. And it wasn't nothing too major there, personally, I thought. So. Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to Alexis, Julius, and Ashley. So we leave off on the last episode where Alexis is upset because Julius wants to ride with his friends to the restaurant. And he does ride with his friends to the restaurant. So this one picks up on them riding down to the restaurant. Turns out the restaurant is only like a couple miles from the prison. They sit down. Alexis visibly still looks irritated, and she flat out says in front of his friends, you should have rode with me. And then he tells her it was only 9 minutes away. You shouldn't be getting mad about that. And she kind of like doesn't really say anything, and they kind of get into, you know, eating and whatnot. And she starts to enjoy seeing him out of prison, laughing, eating. She says that she's like, it's nice to kind of see him just be out of that, you know, environment, and he's happy and he's eating and stuff like that. Julius then excuses himself from the bathroom, and I don't know if y'all noticed, but Alexis immediately made this face like, is he really going to the bathroom? Because what he says is, dang, I gotta go to the bathroom again. What? Right? Like, he says that, and she kind of peeps, you know, you get them little feelings, and she not off. So he goes to the bathroom and he calls Ashley. He's standing outside the bathroom. He calls Ashley while once again she's in Party City still. And she's like so excited to talk to him. She's like, oh my God, you're out, babe. Da, 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 da. And he's like, yeah, you know, I'm just calling her. She's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm with my mom eating. While Alexis is sitting at the table. He ain't with his mama, we know that. She's sitting at the table waiting on him to come back from the bathroom.
So question, full pause. What would you, like, in that scenario, right? He been talking to these two women while she's been in prison. He knows both of them are waiting, you know, for whatever. And I'm just, you know, what's he supposed to say? He's supposed to sit at that table, and let Ashley blow him up on the phone. So then Alexis is looking like, yo, what's going on here? You know?
Yeah, no, I get it.
So he has to handle it, and he can't go back there and be like, hey, Ashley, I'm with Alexis over here. You know what I'm saying? So he got to be like, yo, I'm with my mom. And again, I'm going to stand on this, and we're going to talk, but he don't own nothing.
Right. And y'all are going to trip in a minute when I say what I have to say. But what I will say is I'm from the school of if you cannot do it in front of me, you shouldn't be doing it. And that, because it's like you're hiding something. There's lies in that. You're hiding. Like, if you can't, like, if you really feel like, hey, I don't know you like that, and, you know, I am getting it, just be honest about it. But you're not going to do that because that's not going to give you what you want. You're going to lose, you could potentially lose your residence because he's going to live with Alexis. So no, he's not going to answer the phone in front of her. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of elements to that, but yeah, he does that. And back to Ashley and him, they're talking on the phone, and he says that he's with his mom eating, and she's like, oh, so when am I gonna see you? And then he's like, yeah, you know, maybe later. He's still kind of being sketchy about whether he's going to see her or not. And so the call ends where she says, I love you again. And if y'all have seen the clips, he started, I guess apparently when he was in prison, when she would say, I love you, he would tell her, I love you too. This is the second time on camera where she says, I love you, to hang up the phone. He's like, yeah, you know what it is. He just hangs up the phone, right? And so he goes back to the table. He's like, you ready to go? They get ready to leave. And then it clips to him talking to the producers. And this is where I kind of start to understand slightly where he's coming from. Because I think for us women, like, we're looking at this like he's telling her something, right? He's telling her these things to make her feel this way. And I still kind of feel that way too. But at the same time, I did kind of see, and yes, I'm saying on camera, I did kind of see his point a little bit. He was like, look, when he said it felt different. He was like, I don't know these women. He was like, he admits he's talking to multiple women, not just Ashley and Alexis at that moment. And he was like, I've never spent time or know these women. I don't know nothing about them. You know, and so his thing is he felt like Alexis was being clingy. But that's where it gets a little fuzzy, because it's like, you're going to live with her. So she's good enough to live with. She's good enough for you to use as your address and all this stuff, but she's too clingy. And she's good enough for all that, but I'm going to go see other women, and I should be able to do that because I don't know you. You don't know me, so then don't come live with me. Like, that's the other part of that that's kind of like, eh.
All right, so just to address what you just said in regards to him, a couple of things. Yeah, he's talking to a few women. He's been talking to a few women since, being in prison. Mm-hmm. And not knowing them or whatever, that's just like a process of elimination. Mm-hmm. Essentially, that's, just dating. You know what I'm saying? I'm dating this person, seeing da-da-da-da. Is he telling them stuff? Yeah. For whatever reason, and cool, I mean, not necessarily cool. You do need to be responsible with the stuff that you tell people. But given the circumstances,
people are crazy.
People are crazy. But given the circumstances, it should be understandable on both people's sides, and there should be some understanding on their side and understanding what may or may not get told to you from somebody who is in a certain situation, and that may change when their environment and their conditions and their circumstances change. Mm-hmm. That's one. You know what I'm saying? Now, as far as the Alexis thing, he is going to live with her. He is, doing this stuff, and I'm still waiting to see exactly how he's going to handle this Ashley thing in the long run, because he, at the same time, has to be accountable for his actions of leading Ashley on. Mm-hmm. And like I've said this from the beginning, he could be choosing Alexis, but he still has to sort that Ashley thing sorted away, because people will do certain things to cause turmoil in a situation if they don't handle it correctly. They will do things to destroy and tear down what you're trying to build. As soon as they get an inkling that you're not on the up and up, they will start to do that, which is going to lead to something I'm going to talk about a little bit later. But that means he may have to move a certain way, because if he just moves a certain way off top, that's just going to expedite her getting to that point or doing certain things, and maybe we don't know, but maybe he's trying to, handle this with, a certain amount of delicacy to have a good come out. That's my thoughts.
So basically, all that happens. He talks to the producers, and then they head off to Alexis' house, her apartment. They show them walking into the apartment. Alexis has decorated the apartment all cute, in Alexis' eyes, she really feels like this is her man. This is her man. He don't have no other woman. That's what I think. That's the difference between Ashley and her. Ashley is aware that he was talking to other women. Alexis is not. So she's treating him as if this is her man coming home from jail, right? And no, she has never met him before. Some would say that was probably dumb to have somebody that you don't know come live with you. You know what I'm saying? But that was the choice that she made. So he walks in, and Julius is shocked by how the apartment looks as far as the decorations and stuff. He says nobody's ever done anything like this for me. He's like, this is really nice, and he's like, He's basically like, yeah, nobody's ever done anything like this for me.
They never had a chance to.
And I guess technically never had a chance to. And so he's trying to process that, and he's kind of looking around, and she's like, you like it? And he's like, yeah, I love it. He's like, this is, amazing and stuff. And again, he clips to the producers, and he's like, and this is why I kind of feel a little bit bad for doing Alexis like this, because, basically look at what she's doing for me type of thing, right? And even in this clip in the house, he tells Alexis, he initiates the I love you with Alexis. He tells Alexis he loves her loud and proud, and she says the same thing. And so they're acting like a couple, but the whole time Ashley is in the back of his mind. And so when he gets a break from Alexis, he walks onto the balcony to call Ashley again. And by then, Ashley had told him earlier that she was getting a hotel. And, that she was going to get a hotel for them. And I feel like he didn't really confirm whether he was going to see her or not, but she went and got that hotel. She bought all them decorations, bought her little sexy outfit or whatever, and goes in the hotel. Her friends come over to help her, and she starts to get ready. And he calls. He's on the balcony at Alexis' house. Okay. He calls Ashley, and he's like, hey, what you doing? She's like, oh, I'm getting cute or whatever. And he tells her, hey, I'm not going to be able to come see you. And Ashley was like, what? And she immediately hangs up the phone on him. He calls her right back, and he's like, look, I can see you tomorrow. And she's like, I don't believe you. I'm not really excited about seeing you tomorrow, because every time you tell me something, it don't go through. Like, she's pissed. And I guess it's her birthday weekend too, and she's like telling her friends, he's gonna ruin my birthday. And she starts getting really emotional, and she's crying when she gets off the phone with him.
Hold on, let me say something in regards to that real quick. This is how, me personally, I came to the conclusion. Don't know going forward, but Julius over her, because she gets, like, I ain't gonna come. Obviously, one, she ain't no priority.
No.
Right? She's not a priority. But this is what I was saying earlier about making things smooth. She bangs it on him. She gets mad. I ain't talking to him. All right, cool. He calls back. So he voluntarily, he could have took it as.
He could have. I was kind of shocked he called back.
He called back because he needs to keep her at a certain distance one way or another until he can make whatever decision he chooses to make, right?
Yeah.
But then when he's on the phone, he's like, yeah, man, so look, man, I'm about to get off this phone. If we meet tomorrow or not, like, look, I'm just trying to confirm if you're going to pull up so I can say what I got to say or whatever, because you really starting to piss me off with this attitude you got.
Because she popping off, y'all.
No, hold on. But mind you this. He's trying to balance. Now he's in a situation where he's out. He went to jail at 18. Yeah. He got Alexis. He already been dealing with her little bit of attitude with the, whole ride thing. Now he got, Gollum over here giving him problems or whatnot.
I don't know what that means, but we'll go ahead.
But, she's giving him problems or whatever and getting a full-on attitude, you know what I'm saying? And he's been in prison for 6 years, since he was 18. He hasn't had a full-on relationship or an adult relationship before. So I feel like, man, one of these women got to go, because I ain't got time for what's going on right now. Mm-hmm. And obviously, Alexis is doing the thing. She's showing him something. Now, mind you, Ashley's trying to.
Yeah.
She's trying to. But
he at the end of the day, listen, he ain't dumb. He not about to trash Alexis. Alexis is where he lays his head at night. That's where his home is. I don't know where his family is. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know about them homeboys. We just gonna assume them homeboys got some stuff going on where he couldn't go live with them. But yeah, so she goes off on him, like for real, goes off on him. And then at the end, she's like, look, you better come see me tomorrow. And that's it. Like, she's just like, really, she don't talk to him like how Alexis is a little bit more soft with hers, right?
And that's why she got the,
yeah, and he was like, all right, and whatever, right? Type of thing. And so her friends are sitting there the whole time, and she's like, I know he's probably with another woman. Alexis says that.
No, Ashley says that.
I mean, sorry, Ashley says that. I'm sorry. The A's, the A names. Ashley says that, and the friends are like, look, you go ahead and you get dressed up in your little sexy lingerie that you was going to wear, and you do some sexy poses and text it to him. and blow up whatever he got going on, because whoever he with is gonna see that. And
Full
this
stop.
is what he was talking about earlier, because when you start sounding funny or reckless, this is what people will do sometimes.
Right. So stop. How is that helping the situation whatsoever?
I mean, it's not, but
And
you can't.
just,
I don't feel bad for Julius for
no,
that.
I'm not talking about Julius. How are her friends helping her? I get it. They're like,
well, they're trying. They told her earlier that they don't think that it's a good idea. Well, they kind of.
They're being like, this is the thing. Like, they're sitting up there being messy. Like, they already know the situation. But what's gonna happen is they do this to their friend. She does it. Mm-hmm. Now, whatever reaction he may or may not have, if he just, like, what if she's calling, he never responds to her again, Now she's walking around crying. Now they got to pick up the pieces because they're telling her to be messy. She's making decisions. She could sort that out. Like, me personally, I was like, yo, what the hell are they doing?
Well,
you know what I mean? But I get it. It's like she was feeling down, so it's like, and taking a stand. Like, if you're gonna do that, I'm gonna let the other women know. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Mm-hmm. Okay, but I personally think, I get why they did it. I get why she did it. I never think that type of thing is. Like, it's not
well, it's not productive for the person
either. It's immature as hell.
It depends on how you look at it, right? So I'm gonna finish this out, but like basically she does send these pictures to him, and that's where that ends. But what I'll say is that a lot of times, and I can only speak for women because I'm a woman, like, you sit around and you let people play games with you, and you don't stand up for yourself, and you don't do anything about it, and then you that's how you end up in these relationships for years and years that because you haven't made a stance to find out what's really going on. Because I'll say this too, once you find out what's going on and it don't fall in line with what you want in a relationship, that's when you need to move around. But what happens is people stick around. They're like, I don't know if he's doing this. What if he's doing that? But you have all the signs that he's doing something. And I will say, like, to go back to what you were saying, of course she, if she does that and he doesn't talk to her, she's going to be crying or whatever. And say he don't call her ever again. Mm-hmm. He did her a favor. And she learned early on. Like, she can move on with her life. Is what I'm saying. It hurts. It hurts. You know what I'm saying? But the quicker you can find out your answers that you need when you want to be with somebody and you feel like they're not on the up and up, and you can move it around, the better for you it is.
You do.
What's bad is for you to stick around and just, kind of act like you don't know what's going on.
You do understand that Ashley thinks he's with another woman, right? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. You do understand that Julius, in his mind, is expecting another woman out of Ashley, right? So
what do you mean another? Like how she looked?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All that type of stuff. So if he's misleading her, she's misleading him also. And I personally think.
Well, we don't know that yet, though.
We don't know that
because
but
the way she sent those pictures.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying.
That's how
I think he may know. I think he's treating her away for various reasons. You know what I mean?
He's not sure what she looks like.
I think he's either not sure, but in the first episode, don't post nothing online. I think he somehow figured out that she's not what she represented herself as.
Mm-hmm. At some point, and maybe he actually maybe liked her personality a little bit, so he's a little bit conflicted, you think?
Maybe possibly? A little bit, you know what I'm saying? But I don't think he's necessarily conflicted. I mean, it could be various things, but I'm just saying, like, if it's going to be one way, the guy taking advantage of her, which he is, she's misappropriating herself too, and, blowing up the spot, whatever, cool. I mean, that happens. Look, I ain't going to lie. In my past, I have had it happen to me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But, that's just, at this point, this is 6 hours in. He just got out of jail 6 hours ago. Like, again, if he was really with his mom, right? Mm-hmm. This is what she's gonna do, and I get it. She's sending him sexy pictures.
What if? But it's all the what ifs. But we know
behind
that.
We know that
that's not what he's with.
I get it, but I'm saying she don't know. But I'm saying she don't know. She's making all these decisions off of assumptions. If he was really with his mother, you know what I'm saying? She's sitting up there going through us. Yes, you know what? When somebody gets out of prison, they may have some agendas that supersede what you may want to do at that point in time. You know what I'm saying? So
we have to also keep in mind that we see what the producers and what the show wants us to see, right? So
right.
I'm pretty sure there are things in there where she got a pretty clear indication that he was not with his mom. You know, like, and it is what it is. He wasn't with his mom, so it doesn't matter.
No, I get that.
At that point, it's
I get that we as the audience get to see that, and we can sit and we can say because we see. I'm saying the decisions that are made on the show, these people in real time at that point in time, with them not knowing.
Yeah, it's an assumption. It's an assumption, but her assumption was correct, so that's just what it is. But yeah. So while she's doing that, Julius is at the house about to get it popping with Alexis, and that's kind of how that ends off for them. Yeah. So as you can see, there's a lot to talk about with them. Yeah. But Jey is about to take it over and talk about the next couple.
All right. So next we have Savanna and Bradley.
Yeah.
So their last episode ended off with Savanna. She's been really wanting to, get it in, have sex, whatnot, and he was not really feeling it. I think they tried to make it seem like he didn't want to because her body has changed since he went in. And that may have been part of it. And honestly, part of it may have been some sort of, performance anxiety also.
It's feeling like that, right? Yeah. Because his whole attitude was different in this episode. And it's an adjustment, like you said.
Yeah, he said it's been 28 months, so,
Yeah.
But anyway, so, for all intents and purposes, she knocked him down, so she's happy now.
I knocked him down.
But this whole episode pretty much centers around they're having a walking home party for Bradley, and the biggest thing is that Bradley has a sister, and the sister and Savanna had a falling out whilst Bradley was in prison, and they used to, hang tough, whatever, and there was an incident that happened, I believe, like a car accident or something like that nature. Something happened where Savanna ended up going to rehab for a year, and Bradley's sister ended up going to jail for a year. They both used to, be addicted to, drug use and things of that nature. And then they had a really big falling out to where Savanna couldn't see essentially what is Bradley's niece and things like that. So the big thing of this whole their storyline here was to have Savanna and the sister sit down, have a conversation, see if they could have an amicable relationship for the sake of Bradley. It seemed like there was some hostility there. There may have been some problems when, if they met face to face, but they sat down to a dinner or whatever, they sat down to, had a conversation, and they were able to put forth the effort to mend those fists for the sake of Bradley, but also for the sake of them as friendships, because like they said, they were really close, and she was the closest thing that Savanna had to a sister.
So next up is Brooklyn and Brian, who were introduced on the last episode. It wasn't a whole lot to this. This episode starts off where Brooklyn is kind of frantic. She's probably nervous. She done lost her keys. She can't find her pants. She's trying to get about the house. And it's not so that she could pick him up from prison. It's actually so that she could catch him, I guess, in the car on the way to the halfway house. Like, I guess she just wanted to wave, or she thought the person that was coming to pick him up to drive him to the halfway house, which is a state government person or whatever, it was gonna stop when they saw her on the side of the road so he could get out and hug her. Well, I think she's not getting a full grasp, and I find out why.
She's thirsty.
I find out why she's not getting a full grasp of the magnitude of him being in prison and what that really means. Because she says, as much as she talked about she loved this man and she want to marry him, have children with him, she had an opportunity to go see him. She chose not to see him through the duration. I think he was there 6 years? 6 years?
Something
like that?
Yeah.
For his entire prison sentence. Because she said that she could not see him in shackles. She could not see him behind bars. She could not. So something about you going to see somebody, I assume, at a prison like that is going to bring that to reality for you. Her not seeing him like that, I think, is why she has this not this understanding of what's really going on with this man, right? She feels like, oh, you out, you coming to the house. No, he got to go to the halfway house. So anyway, the lady drive right past her. All the free, she out there with her kitten heels on and her little bodycon dress, And they drive right past her till she gets in the car and she gets over to the halfway house.
Recognize her.
He did, because she called him. She was like, "That was you?" And he was like, "Yeah, that was me." Like, right? He was in the back of the car.
He said he seen her?
Yeah, he said he saw her.
Oh, okay.
He said he saw her.
Okay.
So, you know, she talking about she was mad because the lady didn't stop. Again,
that part.
It's not adding up for her at this point, I guess. So she gets to the halfway house, and she goes to the halfway house because she has a bag of his stuff for him. I guess underwear, clothes, whatever, right? She takes that in, but before she takes that in, she's like, she calls him again, or she's still on the phone with him, or I think she calls him again, one or the other, and she's like, "There's people sitting outside outside the halfway house. You can't come out and give me a hug? Can't you think they're gonna let you give me a hug when I come in there?" And mind you, she done been calling the halfway house, she said, every day for the past week to try to figure out how she gonna be able to see him in person, put hands on him, touch him, right? Again, it's just a little bit different. So she goes in there, drops the stuff off, comes back to the car. She has a tablet in her hand at this point. So it's a prison tablet, kind of like an iPad for prison. And she pops off the back of the case for some reason. And on the back of the case is a picture of a woman that's kind of scantily clad, dressed, kind of, and she's like, "Who's this big booty bitch?" on the back of this thing. And I immediately, because I told Jay about it, I was kind of like, that's probably just some random picture so he can, you know, do his thing in prison. You know, look at that picture and do his thing. But she kind of feel like, why is it not a picture of me? And she says that. Why he don't have a picture of me doing it? Like, you know, whatever. She just says, why he doesn't have a picture of me? Why is there a picture of this girl? So she calls him again. You already own one. This man just got out of prison. And you're calling him, talking to him about this stupid stuff. To me, it was like the thing she was calling about was dumb. You know, and it's like, he's sitting there probably getting processed, trying to wait. He don't know what's going to happen. He don't know how long he got to stay there. You know, it just didn't feel, it felt very me. And not like, hey, how you feeling? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I just kind of felt that way about that. It was just weird. But anyway, she calls him to try to check him about this bitch on the back of the damn tablet thing. And he like, what are you talking about? Right? And then so it basically ends there. You know, there's no, and they'll probably pick up on the next episode. But I'm gonna assume that this person on the back of this thing is just some random cutout something that he didn't print it out, because it was on like printed out paper. Yeah. You know, like it was folded up. It was like you printed out something from a computer. That's what it was. So I don't know. She
also clearly has, as we all do, but very close to insecurity. You really think that she didn't go to see him because of that, or she maybe so. Maybe, I mean, I've known people that haven't gone to see people in prison because of that. You know what I'm saying?
I know too, but that's what I was saying. For her, there's a detachment, I feel like, because of that. I get it. I get what she's saying, but then at the same time, stuff isn't real to you if you haven't put yourself in it. A lot of times, like, people can't really fully understand what's going on, you know, if you haven't put yourself in that scenario. Right. And I think that's why she was being, I would say, kind of immature about it a little bit, you know? Yeah. But yeah, and I don't think it's a looks thing, because remember, they've known each other since high school, and they showed her pictures. Like that in high school. But she looked like that right after high school, and he's been talking to her since then. So
whatever. So on to the next. We get introduced to a new couple, Will and Courtney. So Courtney is actually the person who's getting out of jail, and Will is. Who's courting her. He seen her on Instagram posts and seen, you know, a picture of mugshots of, you know, women in jail, and he seen her and he thought she was attractive and got in contact with her. Yeah, she's 24, he's 33. He runs a app for furry fetishes. Fun. So that's what he does and everything. So they've been in contact, and I believe they've only been in contact for 6 months. It hasn't been a very long time. Yeah, okay. It's been like 6 months. He's in California. She is in Oregon, in jail in Oregon. I believe she lives in Washington. So they've been in contact and everything and whatnot. So he wants her to get out and come to live with him in California. And she needs to get special permission to do that, to go to California on her probation and everything. But she was denied by her probation officer. So they're trying to get a special conveyance to get her to California, right? He suggested them getting married to do so. And he seems to be pretty adamant on this. So he's going to Oregon to pick her up. And he's also going there. When he goes to pick her up, he's going to be meeting her mother, who's there also, to pick her up. So he meets the mother, the mother's side-eyeing him naturally and rightfully so. It looks like they meet at the hotel. They get to having a conversation, and she asks him, like, so tell me about you. And he tells her, hey, dropped out of high school, took a few years, just pretty much to party, do drugs and whatnot. And then he ended up losing a friend really close to him. Ended up deleting himself, pretty much. And his friend said before he did that he wanted him to, leave the drug and things alone and get his life together. So he felt like he'd be doing he wouldn't be respecting his friend's wishes if he didn't do that. So that's what he did. He did justice to it. So that's what he did. He got his stuff together, started a business, things of that nature. So cool. So he's talking to the mother, and he tells the mother, like, hey, I want her to come live with me. And in order to do this, I'm thinking about marrying your daughter. And the mother looks at him and says, hey, that's crazy. That's crazy. I'm going to be honest. 9-year difference. That girl's 24. She's young. She's obviously still not making the best decisions, to get to where she's at. I would be 1,000% against that entire thing.
Yeah.
And also the fact that he, and you pointed this out, a lot of times relationships can be, especially in these circumstances, a person taking control of something. And him being so much older than her, him having to get his life under control after it spiraled out. This could be just another area where, him looking to gain control over something. So I would not be comfortable with that at all. But hey, that's them. They got to figure that out, So, but yeah, so that's where it ended with them too. The mother's there. They didn't show the pickup of her yet. We'll probably get that next episode, possibly. We'll see. But yeah, and that was actually the end of episode 3 of Love After Lockup.
It was. But very good episode. And yeah, we want y'all to chime in the comments. Continue to follow us on all our social media channels, TikTok, Instagram, and it is at the top, at Jey and Meka on all platforms. And we are very responsive in the comments on social media and on YouTube. So, leave your comments. Make sure you subscribe, like, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date on all of our latest uploads. Drop some show suggestions in the comments if you would like. But yeah, until next time, we will be back for episode 4 next week if there's no type of break. And
see you then.
Bye.